Welcome to the first annual Welshman Awards. The movie award show that isn't really more important than the Oscars, but these movies get my stamp of approval, which is, it's pretty nice. I'm your host, Jean-Ton Brondon, who you may recognise from Welshman Movie News, and that is because we are incredibly short-staffed and I have to do every single show here. Let's begin. There are 25 awards in this show, and 4 nominations each, so I'll do my best to speed through it so as not to waste any of your time. Also, these are just my opinions, so... The first award, Best Picture. The nominees are Poor Things, Oppenheimer, John Wick Chapter 4, and The Holdovers. The award goes to John Wick Chapter 4. Pushing the boundaries of what an action movie can be, John Wick Chapter 4 qualifies as not an action movie but an action odyssey and fully deserves the Best Picture, even if it may not be the best movie of the year. But we'll get to that later. Next, Best Director. The nominees are Christopher Nolan, Oppenheimer, Chad Stahelski, John Wick Chapter 4, Yorgos Lanthimos, Poor Things, and lastly, David Fincher, The Killer. The award goes to Christopher Nolan. I mean, without any doubt, the guy made a 3-hour movie about people in suits talking about trials, one of the most thrilling movies I've ever seen. Next award, Best Actor. The nominees, Paul Giamatti for The Holdovers, Cillian Murphy, Oppenheimer, Jason Schwartzman, Asteroid City, Michael Fassbender, The Killer. And the award goes to Cillian Murphy, to absolutely no one's surprise. Next, Best Actress. The nominees: Scarlett Johansson for Asteroid City, Lily Gladstone for Killers of the Flower Moon, Sydney Sweeney for Anyone But You, Sydney Sweeney for Reality. It's Emma Stone. She wins Best Actress. There is literally no contest. She was just brilliant. She was absolutely brilliant. Next, Best Supporting Actor. The nominees: Mark Ruffalo, Poor Things, Robert Downey Jr. for Oppenheimer, Ryan Gosling for Barbie, and lastly, Jeffrey Wright for Asteroid City. The award goes to Ryan Gosling. Why not? He's not going to win the Oscar, but he deserves something for how good he was. Next up, Best Supporting Actress. The nominees: America Ferrera, Barbie, Margaret Qualley, Poor Things, Divine Joy Randolph for The Holdovers, and lastly, Emily Blunt for Oppenheimer. The award goes to Divine Joy Randolph. Nothing to say, really. She was just excellent. Next, Best Original Screenplay. The nominees: Asteroid City, The Holdovers, Saltburn, and lastly, Dream Scenario. And the award goes to The Holdovers. Just an amazing and comfy Christmas movie. You can't beat it. Next up, Best Adapted Screenplay. The nominees: Oppenheimer, Poor Things, Killers of the Flower Moon, and finally, Barbie. And the award goes to Oppenheimer. But it was really close with Poor Things. Next one, Best Cinematography. The nominees: Oppenheimer, Poor Things, John Wick Chapter 4, and lastly, Barbie. And the award goes to Poor Things. One of the most visually stunning movies I've seen in years. It's so gorgeous that I actually went to see it twice in theatres, which is an understatement because I went to see Oppenheimer 3 times. 4 times in cinemas. Next, Production Design. The noms: Poor Things, Barbie, The Killer, and finally, Wonka. The winner is Poor Things. Barbie was close, but Poor Things prevailed. Next one, Best Editing. The Noms, Asteroid City, Oppenheimer, The Holdovers, and lastly, Dream Scenario. The winner is Oppenheimer. It wouldn't be as engaging as it was if the editing was not as good as it was. Next one, Best Costume Design. This one is a battle between Wonka and Barbie. And guess who won? Take a guess. You got it? Yes, that's right, Poor Things. Best Makeup and Hairstyling. The nominations: Poor Things, Barbie, Asteroid City, and lastly, Maestro. The winner is Asteroid City, which honestly surprises me too, but I just found the hairstyles really nice. You know, not sure what I'm not sure what I can say other than that. It's just pretty neat. It just looked really nice. Next, Best Sound Design. There's no point for nominees. Just Oppenheimer wins. The sound design is just unbelievable. It's easily winning. Best Score. The nominees: Oppenheimer, Poor Things, Asteroid City, and Across the Spider-Verse. And the winner is Oppenheimer for the best study music since Lo-Fi Girls, Lo-Fi Hip Hop Radio, Beats to Relax / Study to. Next, Best Soundtrack, which is a different thing from score, trust me. There was only one movie I could truly nominate, and that movie is The Killer. Who doesn't love the Smiths? Next, Best Song. The nominees: What Was I Made For? By Billie Eilish, Pure Imagination by Willy Wonka, Timothy Chalamet, Poetry, I'm Just Ken by Ryan Gosling, and lastly, Dance the Night by Dua Lipa. The winner, I'm Just Ken. Again, it's not going to win the Oscar, so I'll give it something, even though it does deserve the Oscar, but it's not going to win. Maybe in another life. Next one, Best Visual Effects. The nominees: John Wick Chapter 4, Across the Spider-Verse, Oppenheimer, and lastly, The Killer. The winner is obviously Across the Spider-Verse. There's no competition. Next, Best Animated Feature. The nominees are Across the Spider-Verse wins. Next World, Best Stunt Choreography. The nominations: Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning, John Wick Chapter 4, Extraction 2, and The Killer. The winner is John Wick Chapter 4. Keanu's stuntman, he didn't fall down nearly 200 steps for nothing. Nearing the end now, here's a different one. Best Movie Scenes. So, not just one movie wins this one. So, the winners are the entire third act of John Wick Chapter 4, the Trinity Test in Oppenheimer, the I'm Just Ken dance scene in Barbie, the opening 15 minutes of Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, the Venice Chase in Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning, Murder on the Dance Floor in Saltburn, the Alexandria scene in Poor Things, Pure Imagination in Wonka, the Brute Fight in The Killer, and finally, the ending scene from Dream Scenario. Congrats to these scenes for being particularly memorable or just outstanding. Another different one, Best Lines. The winners are I Wish This Was Real from Dream Scenario, and Now I Am Become Death, The Destroyer of Worlds from Oppenheimer, and I Must Go Punch That Baby from Poor Things. Congratulations to these lines for being really good and or for sticking in my mind a long while after I watched the films. On to the final 3 awards. The best movie of 2023. The nominees: Poor Things, Oppenheimer, John Wick Chapter 4, and Across the Spider-Verse. The winner and best movie of the year is Oppenheimer. This was a really tough one to choose, but Oppenheimer is just a ridiculous achievement in filmmaking, and It deserves to be recognised for how brilliant it is. And just congratulations to everyone who worked on the film. You just made... It is probably one of the greatest films ever made, and probably the most important film of this decade. The penultimate award. The penultimate award. It's a hard word to say. It is my personal favourite movie of 2023. And that movie is John Wick Chapter 4. Just a big fan of action movies, you know, and so this movie was basically a holy experience in the cinema. Easily my favourite of the year, even if it's just not the best one. And finally, the last award of the Welshman Award is an underrated gem of 2023. And the winner is Reality, starring Sydney Sweeney. It's well made and a genuinely tense movie, and Sydney Sweeney gives a really good performance. I would recommend it to those who haven't seen it. I think it would be worth the watch. And that concludes the 2023 Welshman Awards. I'm your host, Janton Barondon, and I'll see you for the next Welshman Awards. My movie news. We're horribly short-staffed. We need people. Please, work for me. I need help. I can't do all of this. I will die one day. Help.